Welcome back to Two Guys in the Outdoors.
Yeah. Bob?
Jason.
Okay. So just an update. So we know that Jason has a shootable bow. It's a huntable bow. And you actually seen what he was able to do with his bow. So congrats on having a complete bow.
Well, I've done it before.
After our last show, you knew that I missed my target altogether. Okay. I did back it with some rawhide. It didn't quite work out. The rawhide was not wide enough for a 2-inch bow. So then I backed it with, you can see, some fiberglass sheet, not the strands, but cloth. Okay. So I put 2 of those in there, and then I also chopped it off 2 inches on either end. And I did do the calculation. Maybe I'll put the calculation in the description. But technically, to get it back up to, between 45 to 50 pounds,
A huntable weight. Yeah.
all I really needed was probably about an inch. It was like 1.89 inches. Okay. When you actually do the calculations, I took 2 inches to make it an even bow of 58 inches versus 60 inches. I glued the cracks that I showed you last time and got it all set. And today we put it on the tillering jig and got a string for it for 58 inches and found out I did hit my 50 pounds. 26 inches, I'm at 50 pounds. So the calculations work.
We are going to talk to you about how to cut in your arrow rest. We've already started Bob's here just a little bit. So what you want to do is we've got, it's kind of hard for you all to see, but here's the center of the bow. We've determined top and bottom limb. Measure up an inch from the center. What I do is I use just something round, kind of trace that. The reason we want something round, because we want the least amount of, when that arrow is setting on that rest, I'll move it down here. We want as little contact on the arrow as possible. That way, when that arrow is shot, it has as little contact as possible and you get better arrow flight that way, right? So what we do, and we've already cut Bob's here, is, take a saw and kind of cut down evenly on both sides. And then...
So do you take it to the center on?
No.
Okay.
No. Now, your string favors one side of the bow or the other. Sometimes it'll be dead center. So you do got to watch your depth. You don't... The closer to center shot it is, the easier it's going to be to tune. But I found that it's better to have it slightly offset. So with that, and I'll kind of show. So if this arrow is knocked, the tip of the arrow is going to be sticking out to the left because I'm a right-handed shooter. As I draw, that arrow will straighten up. All right. So if it's totally center shot, that's okay too. But for traditional bows, you build your arrow to your bow, and so it's going to be offset just a little bit. As I draw, that arrow straightens up. And then when I release, it comes off the string and it will come around the rest stabilize shortly after leaving the bow, and you're going to get excellent arrow flight as long as your arrow is built to the bow. All right. You don't want it way out here like this, but it is going to be offset. So a good reference for our viewers is if you go online, Easton Arrows has a great bow tuning guide, and it's for traditional bows. It's also for compounds, and you'll read in that guide, and it'll talk about what I was just talking about in much more depth, so you viewers can understand. So we've cut that in. I'm going to take a wood chisel, and we're going to do bevel down so we can control it. And we're just going to come in here, and we're going to start taking that material out of there.
Now you have a round for your rest. Do you also put a radius on the back?
What do you mean?
So
Like here?
So on the leg, yes. Do you make that radius too, to where it's got less?
Yeah, I kind of taper that in, and I'll take more out here and here and leave a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I was wanting to know. From the front to the belly of the bow, you're going to have a little bit of a radius on that too.
The smaller your rest, the less arrow contact you have. Now you got to remember, you're going to have feather veins that's going to collapse when you go across here. So yes, having this tapered and that tapered. So the only really contact that those feathers are going to have is right here in the center. So yeah, and I'll bring this up and really taper that. Now, the reason we're using bevel down is so I can control the cut. If we do bevel up, this thing is just going to dig down into the wood and you can ruin your bow. So make sure you use bevel down. And we're going to go all the way down to our cut. And we went a little bit deeper on yours, Bob, just because you haven't profiled your handle yet. So I went a little bit deeper because once you profile your handle, then that's going to take away some of your rest, and it should match up really, really well. Just when you get to where your cut is, make sure you're lighting up on your chisel, because you don't want to take any of that wood out of there. And you can see that we're getting down to the bottom. And then you can come over here and we'll start taking out, rounding off that shelf. And then of course, we'll finish it up with sandpaper and a rasp or a file or whatever you want to use. So there you can really see what we're doing. So now you can see that that arrow is only contacting this part of the shelf and this part of the shelf. This and this is free from the arrow, which will allow those veins to collapse when it goes across that shelf.
And just so you know, that arrow that he just showed, that's a junk arrow.
Yeah.
We both use feathered fletchings.
And you can see how smooth I can get this with a chisel, to where you don't have to do a ton of sandpaper work or anything like that. So there you can kind of see that I've left that raised area. Turn my chisel around. And you can come in and really, so now you can kind of see that we've roughed in our arrow rest. So Bob's going to profile his handle, make it to where it fits his hand good. He's got a good rest. He's gonna come in and file and sand and smooth all this up. And he's gonna have a nice, I don't like on self bows, I don't like a real deep shelf. If you look at modern recurves and stuff, they got a real deep shelf. You know, on traditional bows, I like to have a small shelf, because we do cant our bows slightly when we shoot them, so we don't have to worry about that arrow falling off. We just want the least amount of contact there for proper arrow flight. So that's a roughed in arrow shelf, how I do them. So you can see that, you know, the only part that arrow is contacting is this center piece here and this center backing here. And the reason I like to do that is when we are tuning arrows, we can add moleskin here to bring that arrow further out if we need to, or we can even remove wood to make that arrow set in further for proper arrow flight. So before Bob finishes, you know, and stains it, paints it, whatever he does to seal his bow and make it waterproof, you know, he'll start to tune arrows to this bow to where if he's got to take some wood away, he can. I always like to take a little bit more away, then I can use moleskin. Speaking of, you know, moleskin at any of your Walmarts or any place that's used for hot spots for in shoes or whatever. It's kind of a felt, it's got a stick backing to where what it does is it makes your arrows silent when you're drawing it, but you can also use this to build out your shelf or take away to where you can achieve proper arrow flight. So just a little trick of the trade there.
Thanks for watching.
Like and subscribe and share with others, because you know, we're trying to encourage everybody to enjoy the outdoors. We're trying to encourage people to try new things. So get out in the outdoors and keep it simple.
Yep, hunting season's coming up, so get out there and learn even more about the outdoors and how you can have even more fun out there, and do it with somebody you have, so you can do it together.
That's right, absolutely.
So
we'll see you next time.
Bye.